So a number of cities across the United States, Portland and Seattle being the two primary ones, and ones that I cover, they need to hire a crap ton of police officers. That is a little known public safety term that we don't hear that often. But when you look at the numbers of sworn police officers in Portland and in Seattle right now, with the skyrocketing gun violence and all the other nonsense going on here in the Puget Sound region, we've got robberies of ATMs. We've got robberies of pot stores. We've got just all people being thrown down the stairs. We've just got all this craziness going on. And we don't have enough cops. We've got these areas of downtown being cleared out. We've got all these crises going on, and we don't have enough cops to fulfill, public safety throughout big metropolitan cities like Portland and Seattle. So now we're getting into the nitty gritty. Now we are recognizing, hey, you know what? That whole defund the police thing, hindsight being 2020, that didn't work out all that well. And we met the number of police officers going down with a real hard upward spike in violence and in all kinds of other crime. And to the point where we're like, yeah, you know what? We need to level out some of these crime numbers. So that misdemeanor that's just not even a thing anymore. And that felony, let's drop that down to a misdemeanor, because that way we'll balance out some of the numbers. So when I see the crime numbers that are reported by the media, my first thought is, what's the real story? What are the real figures that should be reported? I mean, just give it to me. I want to know. But we can't do that because we've decided that so many of these crimes, not so much. Yeah, and we're definitely not going to prosecute you for that. I mean, yeah, that 70-inch TV, I mean, you probably needed that. You needed that, in your life. So we're going to let you have that. Those 82 other, convictions and arrests and whatnot in your background history, go forth, young man, and do better next time. That's literally what we've got going on. And Portland right now, amid staffing challenges, the Portland Police Bureau is ramping up efforts to hire more officers. Here's the bottom line. It's going to take a long time to hire a bunch of cops in any given city because you demoralized council actions in both of these cities, and mayors demoralized what it is to be a police officer. Just took cops, anybody wanting to be a cop, they're like, oh, I don't think so. Hard no-go on that. So now the efforts, we've come full 360 degrees. All right. Yeah. Maybe that whole defunding the police thing, maybe that wasn't the brightest of concepts, and actually putting it into action. And good Lord, look at what's going on. Response times in Portland right now. Not good. Could be hours, depending on any given day. Could be hours to get a hold of somebody and get somebody out. And that's if they show up. I did a podcast not too long ago indicating what Portland police officers are no longer going out to as far as calls go. So in a city like Portland, you've only got enough cops to really cover the bare essentials. The bare essentials meaning if you are in the midst of harm's way, meaning like you are being assaulted and or, you got a crime going on. All right. We might be able to help you. Anything else? No, it's a no-go. They're just not going to respond because they don't have enough manpower. This is a simple manpower and women power. Let's not be sexist. So the police bureau is down to a historic low of 780 sworn officers. I have indications that this was a known number, 777 as of the week of March 5th. So we've known this for a while. Portland needs like 1,400 cops to be, considered fully staffed for a city that size. It's somewhere in that range, depending on who you believe and FBI numbers and that kind of thing. But let's go back to crap ton more cops. Portland needs that for the city to be safe. So we're going to be covering here on News for Reasonable People. We're going to be covering what individual cities are doing to try and overcome some of the craziness of the summer of 2020 which was just, I mean, it was just batshit crazy, right? I mean, it made no sense for people that are reasonable. We're watching this going, all right, yeah, they're basically looting and burning the city, and the city council and the mayors are just kind of standing by and going, yeah, well, I mean, it's mostly peaceful. I mean, it's mostly peaceful. My next podcast here is Portland Bureau wants to install a number of safe rooms at Portland City Council because they are anticipating more of the mainly peaceful protesting to happen. And they want some safe rooms within City Council building to protect them from the mostly peaceful protesters breaking in and possibly causing harm to said city officials. That's wild. That's some wild stuff. You're basically admitting right there that, yeah, this is a city on its knees. Can't really keep the whole city safe. We're doing the best we can. And I correspond with some amazing people in the Portland Police Bureau. And they basically, it is what it is. It is what it is. And so we're going to be covering some of these topics. And right now we are starting with, all right, so we know that we're down a whole bunch of cops to keep a city the size of Portland safe. All right. We know that Portland's been a shit show. I mean, it just has. It's just been crazy. It continues to be until you get some of these policies changed. It's going to keep going that direction. This isn't going to change overnight. So you've got to get some more police officers. So the main thing right now that they have done is they've got people in background checking positions. Now, when the whole defund the police came, like half, I think they're supposed to be like 18 positions, something like that, or that is what they're going after is they're hiring, or the Bureau has hired 18 background investigators to hire new officers. That's a really time intensive and manpower intensive process because you can't just bring anybody in to become a police officer. Wild vetting process. You go through all that background checks. So you've got to have the manpower there alone to get this thing kickstarted, right? To get this process ongoing. And so you've got 18 of these people coming into Portland Police Bureau. You've got a new website. We're going to take a look at that today. And you've got a real push, like a PR push of we need more police officers in the city of Portland. Now, to me, that's a tough sell. And I'm a real estate guy, so I'm used to tough sell. You got that house that's just a real piece of crap and you got to spin it somehow so somebody will come and buy it. All right. Portland, it's a fixer. It's a diamond in the rough, great upside potential. It's like when you talk to somebody who's really overweight and they are looking at going into the gym for the first time. What you can honestly tell them is over the next 2 months, if you work your ass off, you're going to have gains that nobody else is going to have in the gym because you've got a lot of room for improvement. We're going to be polishing up your diamond and hey, you're going to shine. So Portland, beautiful city, but right now on its knees. I mean, there's no other way to basically spin that. So Portland Police Bureau announces push to hire more officers. And this is happening all across the United States, particularly in cities that defunded their police department because they basically came right out and said, yeah, we don't really like cops. We don't really stand behind our cops. We're not going to let our cops do what they need to provide safety to the public. Therefore, hey, why don't you become a police officer in our city? That's a tough sell. So let's keep going here. Let's see what Portland is doing amid staffing challenges. Now, this isn't a staffing challenge. This is a staffing nightmare. You don't have enough people for a job that is critical for everybody. I don't care who you are. Not enough cops in a city? Yeah, that's not a good thing. And that's what we're facing in Seattle and in Portland. And I used to think that there would be like one major catastrophe in a city like Portland or Seattle, and that would really kind of shine the spotlight. I think I was wrong. I think it is 1,000 little incidences that are ongoing, that are happening. And they're happening because we don't have the bandwidth to basically respond and keep the public safe. And I think people are going, holy cow, what is going on here? What's the dealio? because you've got some outbreak of crime it's basically unprecedented. And in Portland, they're looking at another record-setting year of shootings. Yeah, those are not records that you want to be setting. That's not a good thing, right? In a press conference Wednesday, Chief Chuck Lovell said the Bureau is investing in recruiting efforts to bring in the city's next generation of officers. Portland Police Bureau is down to a historic level of about 780 sworn officers. Last week, get this, you will love this. All right, here we go. Last week, Mayor Ted Wheeler said his plan to address staffing issues by rehiring retired officers did not work. Wah, wah, wah. I mean, what did we expect there? I mean, that was pretty much an easy call. I think there were around 80 police officers that had retired in the last couple of years that the Portland Police Bureau reached out to. It was the retire/rehire program. I believe there were 2 officers that expressed interest. I'm going off memory here now. There are 2 officers that expressed interest. And interest is they reached out in some way, shape, or form. Don't know what that was, but there was a response, right? 0 of them rehired. 0. So when Mayor Ted says that his plan to address staffing issues by rehiring retired officers did not work, yeah, could have told you that one, but because the reason somebody retires is because they're really unhappy with their work scenario. Maybe they go on elsewhere. And the city, cities like Seattle and Portland have basically pooped on their cops enough where they're like, cops are people too. And they're like, yeah, I don't really need to be an officer here, for various reasons, whatever it is. They have chosen to hit the road and go elsewhere. Now, one of the other things in Portland that is tricky. So in February, nobody was hired, but one retired, or resigned in February. They hired 18 background officers. The Bureau has expanded the offer to sergeants and detectives as far as the rehire offer. 40 members are due to retire in July. So we've got a few more months, and there are 40 officers that I believe are either eligible or could retire. And if I'm a cop and I've put in my 25 years and I got through the summer of 2020 intact, mostly intact, yeah, I might consider retiring too. This is we're trying to get things back on the upswing. Okay. So when Portland Police Bureau took a budget cut in 2020 amid calls to defund the police, he said the Bureau laid off 7 of its background investigators. So they do not have the bandwidth right now to start at the very bottom, which is, holy smokes, we got to hire a bunch more cops. Don't even have that bandwidth yet. So, and those positions were to vet new job applicants. Additionally, for officers in training, COVID restrictions slowed down the process, Lovell added. So this has been just the perfect storm to have public safety take a big, big whack, and especially in the cities that defunded their police. Because you can't tell me, well, when we've had 360 cops or whatever it is, yeah, kind of leave the police department. I mean, that's a mass exodus. There's no other way to say it. It's a mass exodus. And I love how the media tries to spin it. Yeah, we've got some challenges. There are some things to overcome, but I believe there's a lot of room for improvement. It sounds like a real estate broker, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Sergeant Trevor Tyler joined the chief in hosting Wednesday's press conference yesterday. He said the Portland Police Bureau hired 8 new background investigators just last week, and resources will also be poured into attracting new hires. Okay, here's the problem. There's a feeding frenzy for cops right now, right? I mean, there just is. If you don't have a competitive bonus, which the city of Seattle is struggling through right now, our outgoing Mayor Jenny Durkin, she didn't extend the dollars for new hire bonuses or lateral hire bonuses. So our new mayor, he had to work that out. He's going through just these gyrations, and that's just to get money to be competitive with other police agencies and other city positions around so many of these cities because we've got a labor shortage going on as well. So try to hire cops, upward battle, uphill battle. I mean, just brutal. So background investigators, they're going to be doing their things. Lovell said he urges anyone from officers in other cities to inexperienced people with a passion for public service to consider joining the force. Okay. So we've got that. And, they're trying to spin how to get new cops. And so they've got a new recruiting site. It is joinportlandpolice.com. I've checked it out. I think it's a good site. As far as being a business guy and spinning something that is damn near unspinnable, which is, hey, come be a police officer in Seattle, or hey, come be a cop in Portland. I mean, those are tough sells because that direction has been outflowing instead of incoming as far as personnel goes, right? So here's the new website, and here is the spin. Here is why you would join the Portland Police Bureau. The first thing is the best people. Okay. That's an oversell, and that is you're blowing smoke. Okay. Cops, there's some great cops in Portland. Guaranteed. I correspond with some of them. They've got the best people is what the website is saying. What if you took the approach of, all right, who's the kind of person, take it from a human being standpoint. Well, who's the kind of person is going to be a cop in Portland or Seattle right now? Somebody who wants to make a difference and try and turn a city around. So from that standpoint, what about we need more good police in Portland? We need more cops. Just be wildly transparent and don't try and tell us that Portland's a great city and that it's a great place to become a cop right now, because all you got to do is a couple of Google searches and you're like, oh, geez. Ooh, yeah. On record for the most shootings. Oh, yeah. That whole defund the police thing, that happened. Yeah. Anybody who wants to be a cop is aware that Portland has definitely got some uphill battles and some challenges to overcome. All right. So the next thing we're spinning here on joinportlandpolice.com is we've got the best community. All right. I say, hey, if you're calling, Portland and some of its communities, the best communities, here's how I would spin that. The best community, but we need a crap ton more cops. Just be honest. We've got how about a great community that needs your help? How about that spin? Like, hey, come on down, help us out. We need some help. We would love to have you. If you're into public safety and if you've thought about being a cop, come on down. Let's talk. Get the person in the door. This website here, I believe, in my opinion, as an appraiser and a real estate guy and a wannabe podcaster, whatever it is that I'm doing right now. So the best community. All right. How about a great community that needs your help? That's how I would spin that. Okay. So, and then we've got some great pictures of a cop eating, I don't know, some kind of thing, got a cop in his squad car, just pictures of police doing normal things, holding a dog, holding a kid at school, letting a little kid wear a helmet. These are the happy moments. If you're a police officer looking to do a lateral hire, or if you're a person who's wanting to hire on to be a cop, there's happy moments, but now you're blowing smoke, right? So give me the spin. What's the spin? You show a whole bunch of pictures here with just the riots. You show the worst of what's happening. We need your help. We need your help. That's going to get people in. And that's just my opinion. Because those are the folks that are willing to become a police officer in Portland right now and in Seattle right now. People who want to make a difference. People who believe in law and order. People who didn't believe in defunding the police. People who believed in peaceful marches that didn't end up in, $2 billion worth of violence, of property damage across the United States. Those are the folks that are like, yeah, okay. I can see, Portland, there's some big upside there. They need my help. Why don't I go check out Portland? I mean, transparency. We're always talking about police transparency, right? Get some more transparency in there. You got the best training. all right, do you really have the best training? Because when I hear a lot of the best, kind of like, all right, you can't have the best of you can't have the best community, the best cops, the best, pizza. You can't have the best of everything. Tell me you've got some amazing training and you're going to be a really good cop as a result of this training center. I don't know. That's kind of what comes to mind. I want to see a video. We've got an indoor, it looks like Main Street in a town. We've got 2-story buildings on either side, got a road going down the middle, and it is their scenario village. Show me a little video of that. I want to see what's going on there. Are there bad guys in the doorways? They're going to shoot me? I mean, am I going to learn how to do that? Get me excited about being a cop in Portland, and then tell me, hey, we got some training that's going to work as well. All right. So that's the best training. We got the best city. Okay. Some might argue, and some of you out there are going to put comments saying Portland being the best city is a little bit of an overreach. It's a bit of a stretch at this point. Again, it's been a great city in the past. Where it sits right now, it's plenty of upside. It's got upside potential. This is you can create a lot of equity here. And that all that means is, hey, it's a piece of crap and you got to fix it up to get it to where it needs to be. But if you're willing to work that process, the end result, Portland, it's a great city. It just needs some help. So spin it. Help us make Portland a great city again. That's what I would do. Again, I'm a real estate guy. What would I possibly know about any of this? I don't know. I know about recruiting people. I know about hiring people, and you got to get the right spin in there. So now we've got choose your path, and we've got a picture of a blonde female with her tattooed arm over a bigger bald white dude. Good photo. I love the photo. I like this website. But in order to hire police in this day and age, you're going to have to really dig down and do some things that I think other bureaus aren't doing, because everybody right now is, trying to scoop up anybody with any kind of public safety, willingness to do that. So it's going to be an interesting time to see how all of this goes. And by interesting, I mean, it's going to take a long time for any of this stuff to really get some traction, because even if you're bringing in a bunch of new recruits, it's going to take them a while to train them and get them out in the field. And then you got a bunch of rookies running around. We don't necessarily need that. But at this point in time, that's all you got, because the other more experienced agents are walking out in droves, have walked out. There's no magic cure for this. So we're going to be in this for a while, and I'm going to cover these topics individually. So that's where Portland sits right now. And Seattle Police Department's got the exact same issues going on right now. And that's an interesting one, because Seattle's city council was very vocal about defunding the police. And now there's crickets about defunding the police. Oh yeah, that didn't work out. And you're hearing it from the top down, meaning fearless President Biden has stated, we don't need to defund the police. We need to refund the police. Huh. Yeah. I mean, that almost sounds reasonable. Anywho. All right. So these topics are going to be ongoing, and it'll be interesting to kind of see the traction of, all right, we hired this many cops, but we still lost this many. Because in Seattle, I think they hired maybe last month, was it? They hired 6 or 7 police officers, and they lost 20, something along those lines. Don't quote me there. We're still going backwards. It's 2022, and we're on a hiring path here, and we're still going backwards. And the reason for that is you pooped on being a cop. You just did. You made it so nobody wanted to be a cop. And that's going to stick in the minds of a lot of people who might otherwise have wanted to go into law enforcement. You pooped on being a cop as a profession, and you kicked it so hard when it was down that here we are basically begging people to become police officers. How's that going to work out? Any which way, it's going to take a bunch of time. I'll cover it for you right here on News for Reasonable People. Because public safety for cities like Seattle and Portland, having public safety for all of its inhabitants, that's reasonable. All right. I'm out. We'll catch up soon. Talk then. Bye for now.